Have a hot flash.
Cool off over there, Mandy. We're back. We're ready.
Woo!
We're here for another episode. We got Adventures in Business Live. All systems are go. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Mandy, how are we doing? How was your weekend?
Oh, Monty. Okay, so it was Scoot's birthday last weekend, and we had a couple friends that wanted to go out to dinner. And Scoot normally just defaults to whatever the group wants to do, but this particular time, he really wanted to go. He had a very specific thing he wanted to do. He wanted to go to an old school Italian restaurant, and he wanted to dress like we were in the mob. So, which normally I'm the one that wants to be in the costume and stuff. This is very unusual for him, but so I loved it. But I didn't want to over encourage it because then I didn't want him to last minute not want to do it. Right. So I played it real cool, even though I was secretly so excited. So we went to this great Italian restaurant and I teased my hair super high and I wore a lot of eye makeup. I wore more eye makeup on Saturday than I probably did in all of 2025. And I wore a leopard print jacket, and then Scoot wore a gold chain. It was amazing. It was super fun. And our friends that were with us understood the assignment as well. So we went to dinner in costume. We had a great Italian meal and it was super fun. So we did a lot of housework and stuff over the weekend and everything, but that to me was the most fun we had over the weekend.
Very nice. Sounds good.
What about you? What'd you do?
This weekend was another chill weekend, I want to say. I worked was it Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week. So I kind of chilled and rested because we worked with Amplitude. So that was done Wednesday night.
Yes.
And then after that, I was kind of preparing for school starts tomorrow. And then I'm also on a nonprofit called Camp Spinoff. So we had a planning meeting because we do this DJ camp for kids over the summer. So we had a planning meeting yesterday. So that pretty much filled up my weekend between rest, preparing. What else did I do? I think that was it. Yeah.
That's fun. What is the DJ camp? I don't know if I've asked you about this before.
So it's called Camp Spinoff, and it's for a week in the summer. This year is going to be new. It's in Vegas. We haven't had it since 2019. My close friends here, DJ Tina T, she runs it. She's been running it for a long time now, 12 years maybe. And we're bringing it back. So we bring 40 kids between 12 to 17 that want to learn about DJing or music production to an away camp. Awesome. And we have guest speakers, and it's like camp. And they're counselors. You stay in a cabin, all the things.
Oh my God, what a cool kid. Can any kid go? How is this a specific kid?
Application. There's applications you can pay. There's scholarships. Now what we're doing on the back end is we're having an adult camp for 2 days afterwards too. That's me. So
an adult DJ camp?
Yes.
Amani, this this is in line with my creative thing, Okay. This sounds so fun.
I'll send you the information. You can join, come up to, I forget where we're going to be, somewhere a couple hours north of here. In the summer, spread the word.
All right. I will well, we've got to talk more about this because in the
Yeah.
back of my head I'm thinking of like some of my friends with kids in that range that would that would thrive doing something
Mhm.
creative and cool, like, and you're such a good teacher.
Yes.
Did I meet DJ Tina? I feel like I have. No.
Maybe I think you met her at IMEX last year, not
I did.
2025, but
Okay. Yeah.
2024. She was there. Yeah.
I thought I did. Well,
Yeah.
that's super cool, Monty.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
let us know how we can support you. That's
I
really
will.
rad.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So
Awesome.
speaking of support
Yeah.
and creativity, who is our guest for today? Returning guest for today.
We've got a two Peter right here. Yeah, we've got, well, she is a thought partner for women. She helps them lead, she helps them show up on their terms, and helps women live a fully aligned and more fulfilling life. She's a repeat guest. She's the founder of Noteworthy. She's an author. She's a recovering psychologist. And she has been a personal inspiration to me for more than 10 years. Welcome back to the show, Alessandra Wall.
Yes. Round of applause there.
Hi, hi, hi. I'm kind of excited about all this, except for summer in Vegas, which sounds terribly hot. Everything else sounded hot, but like the good kind of hot.
Like
Yeah.
Paris
Yeah.
Hilton, so hot.
Well, welcome back. I guess my question would be, what does it mean that you're a recovering psychologist? I don't know if we talked about that the first time, so explain.
We talked about this like okay, the biggest difference is it's exhausting to be a psychologist. It's super rewarding, it's exhausting, but there's this framework that you move into as a psychologist about being very careful about how you handle people and deal with people. And it's the opposite of the way you need to be in this advisory space. Right. In this space, I just have to assume that people can take it, that I can dish it, that they need it, and you got to be straightforward. I have a tendency, Mandy knows this, we've talked about it, to sometimes slip into what I call Dr. Wall mode. And she's very soft and very nice and sweet. And she's great. She'll eventually get to the place you need to go. But I love it so much more when I can just show up as Alessandra, and I'm just going to say it like it is. And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, and I'm going to help you think through the things you need to think through.
Okay.
I will say this though, Amani, from an advisory standpoint, as an executive woman who has been advised by Alessandra, scientifically, it is so valuable that you have that in your back pocket. And you don't have to lead with the PhD, you don't have to lead with the doctor part, but like that science shows up in how you advise women, and it is so valuable. So I guess a follow-up question to that was like, do you think people notice that, like when you're advising them, do they notice? They might not notice the switch between the two, but do they notice like, wow, this feels better than therapy, this is coaching, this is more than anything I could have?
I think they'll say this is more than coaching. Yeah. Right. That is where the place. So it's not like many of my clients have therapists, and they can tell the difference between this is not therapy. Again, because I am going to hold them to a higher standard. I expect more. I know they can do more. I'm going to push harder. And a lot of my clients will go, but this isn't really coaching, in the sense that I'm going to go deeper than simply teaching a skill, or actually, I don't do that work anymore. I don't do the basic skill building. That's why I say, used to reference myself as an executive coach. I'm like, yeah, but not really. My clients keep on saying, but not really. Like, you go deeper. So it's the mix, and it isn't a bad thing. It is absolutely valuable. Actually, today on LinkedIn, I posted something that comes from my psychology years, from being a child psychologist, which was like the first version of my career, completely tied to leadership. But the insight comes from working with parents who were at their wits' ends with their kids, and like, a kid doesn't listen to me, I can't be yelling at them all the time. For those of us who grew up in families with corporal punishment, there is that point where your parent goes to like slap you or grab you, and you grab back, and all that authority suddenly disappears. And then you realize that when they told you couldn't go out to do things, or they were going to like lock you out, they're not going to do that. They're not a good parent. They're not actually going to do those things. And all of that comes from starting off as a child psychologist.
So I do have to tell you, thank you. When I wrote my book and released the second book, you sent me a couple notes of just like congratulations and everything. And so I just want to say thank you because not many people did that. So I appreciate that.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't expected, but I remember that you sent me a couple notes, so I really appreciate that. And I'm curious for you with your clients, I want to ask about like how do you keep and help them stay motivated after, say, for example, for me, like you have such a big year. So you have these highest of highs, and you might have some lows, but what do you do to help them kind of continue to move forward and continue to excel after they've had like a really big year?
Some of it's selection bias, I'll be really honest, because at this point, and you would fall within that, Amani. So I don't want you to think you're outside of that. But I work with people who are driven by the desire to make an impact. And that can be in 1,000 different ways. So maybe you spend Mandy and I have a friend in common, Danielle Baldwin, who just wrote a book. And last year, Danielle was MIA. Like we
Mm,
just didn't see her.
yeah.
She was engulfed in this book, and now it's out. And sometimes you can immerse yourself in something, and it's your pinnacle, it's your summit that you're reaching. You get to the top of the summit. It's okay to rest for a minute.
Mhm.
It's okay to bask in the joy of it, and then to slowly allow yourself, once your nervous system has realigned, to go, okay, but what do I want to do with this? Like if
Right.
you're impact driven, every step you take adds on to another step, and it might be a step in the same direction, or you might suddenly start to pivot, or you might, I don't know, sashay instead of just take normal steps, but it's still in a movement of directions. With a lot of my clients, it's that question. It's like, what now? Like, what does this build to? Um, what what at your core? To me, this is a big question. What at your core drives you to do the things you do every single day? And when we, as people and as leaders, leading in our lives or leading in businesses, whatever it is, get that, then we can start mapping, like, what does it look like to actually not just have those as really nice words that make us sound great on our websites and bios, but directions and a map towards the things we want to unlock for the world. So I'm curious actually about you. Like you brought up this. Why did you bring up the question? Are you
I was
struggling?
asking for a friend. No, just kidding. It was for me. Yes.
So every week, this is an Amani coaching session. What?
Yeah, I mean,
I love
if
He's
you
it.
got
got
his
the
journal. He's
experts
got his
here,
journal out. Yeah,
if
yeah,
you got the
yeah,
experts here, why not ask?
yeah.
No, because
Absolutely.
that was such a big accomplishment. And I did, and then I went on the book tour over the summer. So I really kind of got burned out or whatever, but in a good, not in a good way. But so now I'm like, okay, it's a new year. There's no book released this year. Focus on growing my coaching program. So what can I do to maintain a level of, I don't want to say intensity, but just continue to like move forward and do well, and not really still ride the coattails of the success of last year. That's basically my reasoning.
Well, do I have permission to coach you?
You absolutely do.
Okay. So Mandy knows my coaching is mostly just asking questions. What was the purpose of writing the book?
So the purpose of writing the book is it was my thesis in grad school, and I wanted to get the story out there and further establish myself as a thought leader in the music business, music space.
To what end?
Now, when you say to what end,
Well, I'm like, listen, I wrote a thesis, and you know what happened when I graduated? I did not give a
yeah.
about publishing it, which got me, by the way, second or third author on the work I did,
Mm,
because I wasn't interested in publishing it. I didn't care to put it out into the world. I My thesis was a stepping stone to practicing as a therapist and to making a difference at the time in the lives of children and parents and families. It's the only reason, but it had a very specific purpose. You wanted to broaden your thought leadership and your visibility in the space so that dot 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 fill in the blank, so that what?
oh, so that I can get a better and a more prominent professor position. I can acquire more music coaching clients and just become even more sought after for interviews and expertise in the space.
Okay, to bear with me. This is going to
Mhm.
be frustrating. To what end? Why? Why do you want to teach people? Why do you want to work with more clients on music coaching? Why do you want people to recognize your expertise? What are you going to do with all of that? What do you want to change in the world with all of that?
Well, I would love why I like teaching people, why I work with my music clients, is I would love to close the knowledge gap between the musicians out there and the actual music business, because there's a huge gap. And so I want to do my part to close the gap person by person.
And what will happen when that gap is closed?
They will earn more money. They will keep their IP. They will have less disputes. They will be able to create a legacy for their families and generations to come.
Okay. And if that's true, then what's that going to change in the world?
I think more creatives will have more hope. They will be able to have more comfort in terms of going and pursuing their music, because a lot of people look at the music industry and they're very wary. But if I give them a roadmap to say this is how you can protect yourself and earn money and still complete ownership of your work, then they would be less wary and they'd go for it.
Do you think that if talented people don't go into music or into show business, and in this, I'm going to expand it a little bit, that anybody else but them suffers from it?
Yeah, I think so. I think because then their art is not shared with the world because they're too scared to go for it.
Okay, so we lose some art. Why does that matter?
We need all the art, especially in this day and time. We need as much art as possible.
Okay, I don't often ask why it is not, but I'm gonna why. I want to, if we're in a room, I want to go, come on, Amani, you're staying surface. You know you're staying surface and giving these answers. Why does it matter? Why do we need to hear the artist? Why do they need to feel empowered to share it out? What's going to happen if we don't get that art?
You're going to have us all listening to AI music with no soul and no feel.
So?
That's a problem. We need music with feeling and soul.
Why? What does it do for us as humans? Come on, I know you have a thesis around this.
It inspires us. It motivates us. It just strikes people down to their core and creates memories and experiences.
So that's the thing. Like when you're thinking about why you want to get motivated, it's not around building your coaching business or getting a better teaching gig or building visibility. Right? What I'm hearing, if we weren't on a show where I can't like spend the whole hour just poking.
Sorry, man.
I
love this.
Just so you know, if you're working with me, I would totally let you stew in this for a long time. You'd be like, I hate you so much, Alessandra. And I know that I've done my job well. But correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you say is there are a lot of people who have something to put out into the world that can inspire and motivate and keep people hopeful and moving. And some of those people will never bring that inspiration to a wider audience because everything just feels too difficult, too convoluted, or they move into that space and they produce, but they get nothing in return other than the pleasure of creating their own art. And so they're like, fuck it, I'm out. God, I hope I can cuss.
Yes, you can. I love it.
Right. And this is a big motivation for me with leadership. Like a lot of really great leaders, especially women in leadership, they work their asses off to get all the way to the top, and they get there. And what they thought they could achieve, the impact more than anything else, the change they thought that they could make into the world, it's still not within their grasp. They're like, fuck it, I'm out. And a lot of the work I want to do is to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I'm hearing you and I'm like, listen, my goal is not just to make it easier for people to break into this business. I make it easier for people to break into this business because they're going to inspire. And you said, listen, especially now, I'm with you on the especially now. I really am. We need people who are going to galvanize us, who are going to bring us together around beauty, around common interests, even if we come from different spaces, around a shared positive physical experience, whether it's the lyrics of a song or the melody of a tune or the vibration that you feel in your body when you're around the right kind of beat, right? And all those things. So my question, if that is your ultimate goal, first of all, is that your ultimate goal? Like I'm getting excited talking about it because it speaks to me, but I don't know if it's your thing.
That's you're on the right path. I would say yes.
Part of it is keeping that in mind because I don't know about you, but I'm always trying to build my business. But if the only thing that I'm thinking about in motivating me to build my business is how do I get my numbers up? What is my revenue goals? How many people are coming in? What's the lead list looking like? It feels like a hustle. And it can be really depressing depending on the time of the year, or really exciting and exhausting. But if I'm like, I know that every day I get up, as cheesy as it might sound, ultimately, because I want to connect with people, leaders who are going to change the world. And I want to support them in doing that. I don't want them to lose steam. I don't want them to leave. I want them to make decisions that are good for them, good for their businesses, good for the community, good for the world. That's the thing that motivates me to go, okay, well, what do I need to do to make that happen? What's the goal for this month, this moment, this year? How am I going to do this thing that I really don't want to do, that I think is so boring? As I motivate myself by connecting it to the larger goal. Well, hey, this is the step that I need to get to this other place that's going to get me there. So let's say you could achieve one thing this year. Where you're like, okay, I did this thing. It's awesome. And it totally ties into making sure that more talented artists get the visibility they need, because that's better for us. It's not just for them. And it's not just for my bank account and my coaching. It's like for us as what would the goal be? What's the one thing that you're like, oh, if I could just do this?
Initially, what comes to my mind is to turn my book into a trivia game. That's just that's what comes to mind, just because I think that can reach even more people and just help in the long run. I'm trying to think of what would be like more business focused, but that's what's coming to mind now.
It doesn't need to be business focused. I'm sorry, Mandy. I just want to say it doesn't need to be business focused, because what you're saying is I created visibility and some amplitude, right, with writing the book. And I did the book tour, and it's great. I put but that, I mean, unless you continue to build that visibility, the book is just going to be another book on somebody's shelf in the background. And the idea, the inspiration, the impact, it's gone.
And Amani, this is the third time in the last hour and 40 minutes you and I have been together that you have talked about this trivia game.
Yeah.
So this might be more important than you even know too, right? I don't know. I'm making an observation of like what I've heard you say, trivia, which I'd play your trivia game. So it's fun.
Okay.
I mean, for the listeners listening, I always like coming back. They have a podcast, which we haven't launched, but lots of recorded episodes. And I'm always bringing it back to, hey, because here's for you who are listening. The thing is, you did what all of us do. It's the beginning of the year. What are my revenue goals? What are my business goals? What I need to do, right? My SWOT, all those things. But like, what you forgot is why you're doing it, what you're doing. And once you remember it, you're like, oh, I need more visibility. I need more people to get this. I need more people on board. Then the goal becomes really clear for this year. It's like, oh, the book wasn't the visibility. The book was the platform upon which to start building or to articulate, because it's a thesis, right? I started articulating the big idea. And the book was one dissemination of that big idea. And then the book tour was another dissemination of that big idea. But I'm not done sharing that idea, because everybody doesn't get it, or all the right people don't get it. So what becomes the motivation for this year? I need more people to get it. And that should be, from a business standpoint, a natural then pipeline into your business. Because the more people understand what it is you do, why you do it, and who it's for, not because you have a sales script or an email, like a funnel, but because you are sharing your truth and the impact that that truth makes, well, the more the right people are going to come to you for help, the more your thought process becomes clear. So as a professor, and as you position yourself into the university system, people are like, well, we want him because he's got something of value to say, and he stands by it, and he articulates it in such a compelling and clear way for everyone. Like, everything derives from that.
I want to build on this because you just said something that reminds me of something else you talk about, and that's authority. So when you're working with people, when you're working with executives, you're working with women, whoever it is, you're working with the money, whoever it is you're working with, two-part question. How do you help someone build their authority? And then the second part of this is, how do you help someone restore their authority? Because it happens, right? We build ourselves up, we get bored, we get burnt out, or we just mentally quit. So, like, how do you help someone build their authority? How do you help someone restore their authority?
The answer is probably the same for both. And honestly, for me, it all starts with this. I could teach anybody 10 different things you can do to walk into a room and have more executive presence. Actually, I wouldn't teach it to you. I'd send you to read Vanessa Van Edwards' book, Cues, and she's got 99 awesome cues for, right? Excellent book. Excellent resource. We can, if you want to share it, you should totally share it. It's amazing. I can teach somebody that. I can teach them how to speak with conviction, how to slow down the pace of their speech, how to do the things, how to write. None of that matters if at your core, you're not clear about what it is you bring to the room, the world, the conversation, why you want to bring it there, and why anybody else would give a damn. So if I'm going to help somebody build their authority, first of all, I won't work with anybody. There are plenty of people who want to build a kind of authority that I'm not interested in helping them develop. But my question becomes the same questions I asked Amani. I'm like, to what end? Why? What matters? Where, when you have this authority, what is it that you're going to be able to build or do differently? Because when you can tap into that, when I understand it, first of all, I'm going to use all the psychology skills I have because I'm going to know how to influence you. And I'm going to also know how to push you into places that make you really uncomfortable. Behaving and showing up in different ways, owning what you have to say, recognizing when your authority is starting to look a little bit like fear mongering. So versus actually just like owning who you are and walking into a room and being very calm. Authority doesn't have to be loud. It's not a title. It's really walking into a space and going, I know who I am. I know what I can do. I know what I want. And I give myself permission to work towards those things. So when we're working with somebody, I have a new client who's going to come on and she gets to lead this really important project. She does not look like a leader. She does not sound like a leader. It does not matter if she is the topmost expert in her field. She's not going to be able to get these very disparate teams to listen to her and do the things they don't want to do and collaborate. So for her, I'm not going to just teach her the tricks of authority. I need to teach her why it matters. I need to understand why getting this project to the finish line is really important and center her in that. And then I can poke at her at all the time she's eroding her language, at all the time she shows up on Zoom and looks like she just rolled in, which those things matter because we're visual animals. So how we look, how we sound, all like the brain processes that. But I don't want her to pretend anything. I need her to feel it. It's like Amani's music, right? I need them to feel why it matters. I need them to feel that confidence. The same thing for repairing. When somebody's been at the top and for one reason or another, that authority's been eroded because they're in a new space, because they've lost confidence, because they've burnt themselves out, because they were in a toxic environment and they have a boss that just ate away at them, or a CEO who just destroyed, or a client sometimes, right? For those of us who own our own business, sometimes you have that one client who's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's going back and going, what do you know to be true about you? What do you know to be true about what you want to do and what you can do? And how do we use that as a starting point for everything? Conversations, the way you talk, the goals you set, the risks you accept, the discomfort you stand in.
That's so good.
Why do you think that people, when they're in certain situations that are uncomfortable, they choose other methods of getting through that, whether it be pills or other vices, instead of just sitting in the discomfort, which is where the growth happens?
We're biologically hardwired to avoid discomfort. I mean, that we are biologically hardwired to avoid discomfort. All of us know that if you put your hand on a hot stove, you will reflexively pull it off. Why? Because you get a pain signal, which is discomfort, that tells you this is dangerous for you. Stay here long enough, you're going to destroy cells, you're going to hurt yourself. So our brains are hardwired to try to avoid things that make us uncomfortable, because for millennia, discomfort was a sign of true danger. The problem is discomfort isn't a sign of danger. I don't spend very much time on Instagram. Like, I don't even go on it every single day. And I went down a rabbit hole of political threads on Instagram this weekend. And two things happened. One is I got into disaster preparedness for my family. And then the other thing that happened is I could feel like anytime my phone was near me, this like pull to check the same 15 or 20 reels that were replaying 1,000 times. What would compel me to open that if I know logically I'm not going to hear anything I didn't hear? Or I can go check my news app and see if the news is coming. I don't need to check Instagram. It's the discomfort. And my brain is going, could I get a little bit more dopamine? Like just a little dopamine on it. Right? So if you're lucky, you understand that. I would say my training has really helped with that, talking about training. And I can sit there and go, that is like a drug addict, right? Like I have to sit through this. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's just discomfort. I can distract. I can whatever. I can go and do my own thing. But if you don't have that awareness, we're just biologically designed to avoid discomfort. So discomfort, by the way, but that avoidance, by the way, you talked about pills and substances and things like that, but numbing your brain with scrolling, anything that's visual media is another one. I talk to a lot of my clients and I will procrastinate. So we'll work on important tasks, but not the things we need to work on. As we can feel good, but that's a form of avoidance. I know that when it comes to authority, sometimes things feel really uncomfortable. And so you will default back to previous ways of behaving that worked for you. So I had the privilege of working with Mandy last year, and we did this exercise. It was an obituary to sides of ourselves, sides of our personalities that no longer work for us. Mandy could share whatever she shared. I wrote an obituary. I wrote a farewell letter as though it were an obituary to Dr. Wall. And she is this side of me who, when I'm in a situation where I feel like the stakes are high and I really want to like bring somebody's attention, I want them to stick with me or stay with me, I'll get into this like super nice, super friendly, hey, how are you? Like, let's talk about it. This is great. Which is fine. It's a natural tendency of mine, but it's actually does not serve my goals, my clients' goals, or me in general to default to that. But I do it because I'm in this situation where I'm like, maybe I'm a little scared or I'm a little lack confidence. And so it might not be a screen. It might not be substances. It might not be some candy or some Cheetos, but I'm going to turn towards a behavior that I know I can get into and get warmth from people. And my discomfort goes away immediately because they'll love me. But loving me is maybe not what I need from them at that time.
So shout out Gary Ware. He says you are amazing, Alessandra.
Thanks, Gary.
Yes. So Gary's here. What are some other activities that you like to work with in addition to the obituary, which I find fascinating?
I love that obituary activity. I forgot about it, so you just said it. I just was trying to pull mine up. That was such a powerful activity.
I mean, it was really powerful, actually.
Yeah. What are some other activities similar to that you like to share with your clients to help them?
I like so much of the work I do isn't formulaic anymore, right? There was a time where I would be like, here's this system and here are these steps. I have a huge library of tools. And it's not that I don't use those with my clients where I don't point them towards certain tools. I have a tool I think we've shared on here before about the art of nothing on that first episode about calming down. I remember, Imani, you reaching back out to me and saying, I've been practicing this. So there are all these tools. To me, it's about asking the questions people don't think to ask. Like, I like coming on to calls, thinking about the questions I've been asked by my coach or the questions I wish I'd been asked or things that come up, and starting people out by asking them something they don't expect to make them think differently. That becomes so powerful. A lot of my more recent clients have come in and said that even starting off, the reason they chose to sign up was because in conversations, I would make them think in ways that nobody else had made them think. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm just like a kid with ADD who has lots of questions and wants to understand a lot of things. But clearly my brain works differently, and that works for people.
Yeah.
If you give me a second, if I have it somewhere here, I keep a list of questions that come to mind. So for your readers, what are some questions that are coming up that I have for people? And Mandy, you might have been asked some of these, but one is like, what's it like to be you right now? Right, that's a big one. We've worked on this one, keep, cut, double down. What's something you need to keep? What's something you want to cut? What's something you want to double down on, which is different than keeping? What's the one conversation you're avoiding that if you had it would change everything? And those are only a few that I wrote recently, but I literally have my bullet journal from last year. I have a whole series of questions for my elite executive group, which is the group I do most of these kind of questions with. And I just keep a log of things. I'm like, oh, this question I have. You should be thinking.
Interesting.
I have a question about a question you asked last year, because I found it to be a stumper, and it's something I think about a lot, and I appreciated the ability to continue to mull on it, right? It's like one of those that you're continuing to choose. So last year you asked a question that said, where are you at with your agency and how are you owning it? So I want to ask you, how do you define agency? Because when you did this, I'm like, I know that word, but like it took me a while to get my head around what agency was in that context and what does that mean to me. So I guess for you, how do you define the word agency and how can people better understand the power of their own agency?
Agency for me is the power to take action and through action to define your life, the quality of your life, the quality of your experience. So one thing all of us have in common is that none of us have control over every aspect of our lives. I mean, we're all born in different families, we have different assets and liabilities that come from how we were born, where we were born, what's happening, their economic forces, their political forces. Mandy and I are perimenopausal women, and San Diego's trying to make us believe that it's summer, so like we can't control how hot or how cold we are, but we have a lot of control over the decisions we make and the actions we take. And what I find, and it might tie back to what Amani was talking about earlier, there are a lot of people who abdicate agency. They basically give up the power to take action to make their lives differently. There's so many people out there who collect insight. They love consuming information, and they do nothing with the insights that they derive from consuming that information. I find that so wasteful, and I have no tolerance for that. Like, I now in my business actually have a few people I need to contact about that to say, I guess we can't work together. Like, I have no tolerance for people who are not going to take action. I'm okay with people being scared. I'm okay with people halting and stopping. But I'm like, if you're working with me, and if I'm going to work with you, it's because you want to do something differently. You want to have an impact. So we can be scared together. We can be uncomfortable together. It can take us time. We can screw up all we want. But you have more control over your life and over the quality of your life than you believe. It's not all the things, but if you're not taking the right actions, if you're not making the right decisions, if you're not doing something with it, you've abdicated that. And then you just become a victim, or you become reactive to life. It feels like such a waste to me. I'll stop, but it makes me very mad and sad at the same time when I see people who do that.
Well, don't stop just yet. Why do you think people just don't take action?
It's uncomfortable and scary. And in a couple of ways. Sometimes you realize that the action you need to take is going to require you to show up very differently, or going to require you to go through pain or discomfort. That's one reason. A lot of the people I see who don't take action because they don't know the perfect move to make. So they get caught in this like, well, I could do this, or I could do this, and then you stay in the smush in the middle piece. But even that is more comfortable, right, than anything else. I think being in limbo is the worst thing in the world, but a lot of people will choose to stay in limbo because they have this false idea that there is a perfect option, and that if they don't take the perfect option, everything's going to blow up. But what will happen in most cases, if you don't take the perfect option, is that you will face a situation that allows you a number of different decision points. When I was a psychologist, and I talk about this concept because I've talked about it since, I went into therapy, especially with kids, because I wanted to show kids how, despite living in families where technically they didn't have authority, whatever, they still had agency, and give it back to them. I used to say back in the day, the only time you don't have agency is when somebody has a gun up against your head. And then I'm like, no, that's not true. I've had a gun held up against my head, literally. And I had choices. I didn't like the choices. I had the choice to comply. I had the choice to fight. Those are my two choices. I chose to comply. But I did have a choice. I just didn't like the choices. So for me, we have choices like that every single day. We have people who are in meetings who hear maybe the CEO of their company just like choose somebody out. And they go, well, I can't because I'm like, you do. You have a choice in that moment. And you're going to make that choice. And maybe the choice is to intervene in the meeting. Maybe the choice is to go talk to somebody later. Maybe the choice is to speak with the CEO privately. Whatever it is, there are 1,000 choices. Do you want to be a bystander to your life, or do you want to direct it? I want to work with people who want to direct it, even if they don't know how to do it now. If they're coming to me, it's because they want to direct it.
So,
sorry.
Let me hear your transition to this, Amani.
You, speaking of your questions, I believe you have some interesting questions for us, because this is your second time here, so you know the game about flipping the script. So what are the questions you have for us, Mandy and myself, today? Nothing is off limits. What is said question, and who do you want to ask that question to first?
How many questions do I get?
One each.
One each.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with Mandy. I'm going to keep your, I don't know who I want to give this one to first. Okay, I'm throwing this to Amani.
Okay.
Amani, what is, based on all the conversations we had today, what is the one thing that you're telling yourself you're going to do that you're actually not going to do at the end of this year, and you're going to be really disappointed about it? You can look at that bingo card of yours. It's probably on there somewhere. Mandy, you want to explain to the listeners what the bingo card is?
Yes. While Amani looks at his bingo card, Amani and I made bingo cards for our year, and we were telling Alessandra about this in the green room before the show started. And we did a mini episode about our bingo cards, and it's stuff we want to accomplish. Whether mine's the first 6 months, Amani's is for the whole year. And so we had a bingo card chat before we started the show. Amani, did that give you enough time to think about yours?
I'm pretty committed to like all of these.
Oh, we're always committed. I'm super committed to all the goals I just spent the last 2 months setting up, and the vision I've set up. Super committed to it. And I can tell you, year after year, if I look at what I told myself I'd do at the beginning of the year, there's always one or two things. Sometimes they carry from one year to another. And they're not things like get healthy and go to the gym 3 times a week. They're big things that I know really matter. And yet year after year, somehow I let other things get in the way.
The only one that might get pushed off is create a new class, like college class, based on my book. Because that one's far down the line. That's probably a stretch, because I need to be properly inspired with a new location to really do that. So that's maybe one.
Okay. You can keep this question in mind as a general question. What's the one thing I'm telling myself I'm really going to get done that I actually know I won't get done, and I'll be really disappointed? Because if you have that in mind, then now you have insight and you have a choice to suddenly move priorities, to set up things, to get the right people or the right things so that you move towards it. Or to just say, screw it. I know I say I want this. I don't really want it. It's not going to happen. What if I freed the mental space and removed this goal altogether? Because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And then you just don't feel bad about not getting it done too.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, right? Because you put all these things on yourself and then you're just shaming yourself for not getting it all done. It's just like this feedback loop of like, you put all these things on, then you're mad at yourself, then you don't do it. It's like, well, just don't put so much on yourself. Yeah, it's just back and forth, right? Yeah.
All right.
Mandy, I'm torn. There's a question I mentioned at the beginning that I was like, oh, I'm curious about this. I want to know, which ties to your bingo. But actually, since we did mention the obituary, I know you can't find it. I can't believe
I just pulled it. I found it.
I'm really curious that Mandy, where does she still show up?
Ooh, hold on. Let me just look at the obituary really quick.
While Mandy looks at that, the reason I'm asking her this is because I might have written an obituary to Dr. Wall. I literally sent it out as an email, as a newsletter, and people are like, I thought that you had died.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't scare the people.
Just from the title. And I'm like, you would not find out through an email that I died. I mean, not if we were that close. Somebody would call you. But I know, I know that version of me still shows up. Just by writing it and having it in mind, I can spot her and I can let go of her much more rapidly to be the person I actually am, not to lean on the person I used to be who doesn't always serve me.
Yeah. I found it. Okay. I just scanned through it really quick. And I'm fine with sharing the obituary in the show notes. Like if you want to see my obituary, I will share it. It's a weird one. You may not understand it, but it makes sense to me, but I'm happy to share it. I think where my obituary shows up. So I wrote an obituary, like I was saying goodbye to old Mandy, right? And I was welcoming in new Mandy, but new Mandy were actually my surviving 3 children. And each child was like, child 1 was Clara, the creator. Child 2 was joyous Jill, and child 3 was humorous Hildy. So I was saying goodbye to the seriously smart Mandy. And I think where seriously smart Mandy still shows up is like if I'm in a new situation, like a new anything, new networking event, a new group of people. For so many years, I wanted people first to think I was smart. But my core is actually I'm silly and funny and shiny. That's where I'm more comfortable being. But somewhere along the line, I was taught that being silly and shiny is not serious enough. Like people won't take you seriously if you're like that. So I put that Mandy to bed for a while. And seriously smart Mandy came to the party. And she's still like, I think I've done a pretty decent job 72% of the time leading with the humor and the shine and the joy, which is where I'm most comfortable. But seriously smart Mandy shows up in new situations, whether it's a personal situation or a professional situation. It definitely shows up in new situations with like new clients. But I always know, like as soon as I hang up a call and it's with the new client, if funny, like the real Mandy doesn't come out, like funny, authentic, like weird, dropping my pen, like in my hair in my mouth, something I might do. If that Mandy isn't there, 9 times out of 10, I don't get the business. Yeah. When it's like seriously smart Mandy, like I got it all together, seriously smart Mandy, like she's not authentic. People can feel that, So it's I think it shows up more in new situations than other situations.
Yeah.
I'm better today than I was last year when I wrote the obituary. I'll say that.
Yeah. But like Dr. Wall, right? She shows up in new situations. Proving ourselves. I've got this degree. I've got this. And then also I'm really, and it's good, right? To be able to recognize that and to also have the recognition. I like the word shiny for you, Amani. I don't know if you like when you use that, I'm like, for me, that resonates so much with who you are and with this idea of shiny and creative and joyful because you think of things differently. Anybody who's read your first book, when they look at the way you position the ideas of outreach, the thinking is so creative and fun. It makes aspects of doing business so much easier because we're not posturing. we can be kooky or inventive, or, send a choose your own adventure email or whatever it is, like all of those pieces. And to me, that is a massive differentiator for you.
Thank you. I agree. I like the obituary was a good exercise though. So Amani, you should do with your students as well. Maybe not. I don't know. Well,
thank you.
It's not a bad exercise.
The way you want to do
Honestly,
your
Amani,
class.
it came to me like on the spot. The level of work I'm doing now really as a thought partner is so much about having a conversation with leaders and giving them like the proverbial sounding board, but beyond that, listening at a different level. So I have all these theories, I have these models in my head, but I don't come into a call going, okay, we're going to do this, and they're here. So I'm listening and really going, okay, there's this thing that's coming up, and I need to get why. Like if you and I had been, I would be like, why? One of the questions I would have asked without a why, but would have been, why are you pushing me away and staying at surface levels when you know this matters more for you? We don't need to get on this in a public call, but it's a really good question to ask you. Like, you've got a heart connection to what you do, but you stayed at that surface level for so long. What is that about? Would be, in a real coaching call, something that you and I would push for, because I know that it's important, because I got frustrated. Not mad at you, just frustrated. I'm like, why won't you give me the answer I'm looking for? Only you have it. I don't have it.
Talking to Mandy? Is it talking to
She's mad at you.
I was like, why are you making me work so hard to tell me what you love and and the difference you want to make into the world and why it matters? I'm like, I should know, right? So you asked what other tools, I'm like, back in the day, I could have given you a list of 50. Mandy knows I have a resource library with a ton of them. That's the work we do is way more interesting now.
Well, I want to build on that, because you are an instinctual person. And what you're talking about right now is coaching on instinct, right?
Yep.
And I think so many people in business and in life, we don't rely enough on our gut, on our instincts, which impacts our decision making. So can you just expand a little bit on that? Like what you're seeing out there in the world right now with all these people you're interacting with regarding instincts and decision making, and how we can hone that a little better instead of just quieting it down.
I love AI, but I think one of the ways you can hone it is to not ask AI to solve so many problems for you. Instinct. Okay, some people are just naturally instinct driven. Like some people are natural athletes. If you put a basketball in my hand, it's not pretty. Like my hand coordination instinct, my son was making fun. I was so happy I jumped and I was able to touch the ceiling yesterday. And I haven't been able to do this in a while, but he mocked the way I was jumping. And I was like, dude, I don't care. Freaking touch the ceiling. And it was not a running jump. So I might not have those instincts in that space. But when it comes to listening to or hearing people, I have a clarity. My brain works in a way that allows me to listen at a different level. But that instinct was honed from practice, from taking risks, from asking stupid questions, from being in the room. I've done a ton of reading. I can't reference anything I've read or learned. Incapable of doing it. It's just not the way my brain works. I love AI, as I said, but I see where there is a risk of any of us as leaders, as business people, as parents, as individuals, as friends, as lovers, of losing our instinct is when we leave the thinking to AI to do for us. When we speak into our AI and say, can you tell me what themes you've uncovered and what are the things I'm not talking about that I should be talking about? And AI won't just give you a question to help you figure that out on your own, to flex the muscle so that you learn how to do this. It's going to spit something out that might or might not be right, that usually is generic, and that I have a love for chat. My chat knows me better than any other AI, but that is designed to sycophantically please me. So the practice comes from being willing to make mistakes and going through the discomfort of not having all the answers and trying anyhow, and not feeling like you have to come in knowing everything and being perfect at everything. That's hard. for the listener, I'm so sorry that it's not a simple or easy, here's the 3-step recipe to this. There is none.
Interesting. So to close out the show, I would like to get my Jay Shetty on and ask you 2 questions that he always asks many of his guests. I'm giving him credit in front because I love the questions. Are you ready?
I am. I wish I'd paid attention to Jay Shetty so I could.
Okay. This is an easy question. So the first question that he always asks at the end of the show is, what is the best advice you've received or heard?
It's really hard. Because they're all generic. All the ones I can think of are super generic. Beyond the best advice that I've seen or heard, it's going to sound silly, but probably to create some structure in my day. So I start my day the same way every day. Not that I meant to on purpose, but I make my bed and it's stupid, but it makes me feel so good to start the day. And when I start my day with meditation, everything goes better. When I maintain that structure in my day, everything about my day goes better. And on the many days, I'm outing myself, where I run into work or I allow other things to pull me aside and I don't leave that time, I'm fine, I'm productive, but my energy, my mindset, everything throws off. And it's not just that I need to meditate, it's I need to create the structure in my day and build myself into that structure.
Got it. What's the worst advice you've ever been given or heard?
Any advice around 2 things. Any advice around you can do anything you want. That's not true. Or around pursuing your passion and making it a job. You can't do anything you want. If I wanted to become a concert pianist or violinist, not happening. Can't become a Cirque du Soleil acrobat right now. But I can understand why those things speak to me and I can build them in different ways. And some of us are lucky enough to find passions that can translate into jobs and to not lose our love for the things we're doing by building them into careers. But there are a lot of passions you have that if you start making a job, you will hate, or that don't translate into something that you can do for a job and pay the bills with.
Amen. Amen. With that, we want to share. Well, Mandy, how do we just you come back for the second time, so you know the routine. Is there anything new that we can support you with or help promote you or just kind of continue to spread your word to our platform?
How can we lift you up? Help you? You've given us an hour.
Well, one, Mandy knows this. I'm always looking for a great speaking event. So if you have an event coming up and you want somebody to come and speak and you want to know what things I talk about, I will say with humility and truth, I'm a great speaker. And I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love interacting. So that would be one thing. And the other thing is, if you know of leaders out there who are really impact driven, who are looking not for remedial coaching, not for a boring, just executive tips and strategies, but really looking for a thought partner, we might not be a good fit to work together, but I love a good conversation. And I'm happy to push your buttons like I pushed Amani's or ask questions like I asked Mandy, even if it's just over coffee or a glass of wine or a walk.
I love it.
Or all 3.
Yeah. Or all 3 at the same time.
We've done that.
Well, thank you again for round 2. I can say there will probably be a round 3, but we just appreciate you being with us. I can't wait to meet you in the flesh person one day soon.
Yeah.
And just thanks for being really filling up an hour. It flew by. So thank you so much for the captivating conversation.
Thanks for having me. I love great conversation. And that's definitely what this was. So thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Put you back in the green room. Round of applause here for Dr. Alessandra Wall. Here we go.
Feel the dopamine levels go up with the sound of the applause.
All right, Mandy, we are done with that episode. Who do we have to look forward to next week?
Monty, I can see smoke oozing out of your orifices right now. You have so much to think about. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
That's what she does. She's a wizard.
Yeah.
Like you will be chewing and mulling on this and you'll journal about it and magic is going to happen. Just things you haven't even thought about are going to come out. It's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Next week.
And double down, but go ahead.
Well, what did you write down?
Keep, cut, double down.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Okay. Jonathan Martin is going to be here next week. He's a president of Showtech, one of our sponsors. So interesting to talk about production and leadership in production. It's a very hot topic in the meetings industry, but also we're so visual. Anytime you go to a meeting, anytime you go to anything, like how is this production world keeping our eyes captive and keeping us engaged on the content and the information? So Jonathan Martin will be here next week.
All right. Thanks again to our guest today, Alessandra Wall. Remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, leave a rating or review, and share it with a friend. And with that, we will see everyone next week, 1 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, for another episode and live edition of Adventures in Business Live.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.